Well, hello, my next level friends. Super happy to have you and connect with you today. In this episode, we're going to talk about what are your biggest challenges as an artist. What are the things that are giving you a headache right now in your art career? And this is all a conversation based on a survey that we recently did to hundreds of artists from around the world. So the results came back in, and I'm going to analyze the answers for you. And also, that's going to create a nice context for us to think about how can we, address those challenges.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, my friends, so good to be back. Good to be back in this episode. As I mentioned before in my introduction, I'm going to look at the results of a survey that we recently did about a couple of weeks ago. And this is a survey that we do just about every 4 or 5 years, just to see how things are changing, just to see, what artists are thinking about, so that we can, also in their next level, so we can produce better content for you, create greater resources, better podcast episodes, addressing the topics that are most needed right now, social media content as well, blogs that we write, the things that I do to educate artists as well. And of course, inside of our community, inside our next level program, also the courses that we release, the challenges that we have, we want to make sure that we're addressing the challenges that most artists are facing right now. So we send out this email to thousands of artists who are in our list, and hundreds of them reply. Took us a while to go through all the replies. I'm actually still replying, so I wanted to do it, one by one, replying to everyone who sent a message. So I'm still going through some of those replies, but it was really interesting, to look at what artists right now feel are their top challenges. So, after going through all the answers of this email survey and getting some really long, detailed answers, which, by the way, thank you so much for those of you guys who took the time to sit down and write a thoughtful answer to that question, which was a very simple question. What are your top challenges right now? And give us a lot of detail, a lot of things to think about, a lot of material for us to go over and think about how can we address these challenges. So, as we went through all of them, we were also looking for what are the common threads, right? What are things that a lot of artists are talking about? And after we put it all together, after it's all said and done, we pretty much had 5 things, almost all, with the exception of a few, but most artists had one or multiple of these 5 challenges being present in their career right now as we speak. So as I go through these, my friend, through these 5, see which one you also associate with, which one also you feel like this is perhaps a challenge that you have, or a challenge that you recently had and maybe you have now overcome, or a challenge that maybe you see it's coming along the way and you're trying to prevent, something to go wrong and trying to do things right so that you can overcome that challenge, right away. So let's go over the 5 things. And as we go through it, maybe let's also talk a little bit about, my opinion on why these things are continuing to be a big challenge right now. And what are some of the things that we can do for this? So, of course, in one episode, it's impossible to give answers to all the challenges. That's why they're challenges, right? There's no easy answers. If any of these wasn't, an easy answer, then it wouldn't be a challenge, right? Because it's like something that you can just do. For example, well, I feel sleepy. My challenge is I don't sleep enough. Well, just schedule more hours at night to sleep, and that should fix it, right? Or that should make it better. So, but the answers to these challenges are not easy fixes. That's why they're a big challenge for us. So let's go over them. And at the top of the list of artists who answered to the challenge, many of them, and the majority of them, or I'm not going to say all of them, because it's not true, not all of them, but a big majority of them had as a biggest challenge right now at the end of 2023, generating sales or generating recurring sales. For example, I said, I sell well, or I sold well at the beginning of the year, and then kind of things cool off, or it's hard to keep consistent sales going throughout the year. And other artists, fairly said, I just don't have a good luck with sales. I'm really struggling with sales. It's really difficult for me to generate enough sales in my art career where I don't have to rely on another part-time or another full-time or some sort of other job or activity, to help me with my art career. So, this has still, been for many years, one of the biggest struggles that artists have, how to generate more sales in their art career. And it seems like, as the time goes by, as the world continues to change, and even though we have more tools and resources to generate sales than, let's say, than we had 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, when it was very difficult, for example, for a regular artist to accept credit card payments, right? Or to have a website with e-commerce. That was difficult 10 years ago. Now, anybody can do that, right? It has become super easy to have these tools that help, generate, sales, through the tools that people can use to pay and access. Well, even though we have more tools, the problem still persists. So the answer, it wasn't the lack of tools, but it was, it was something more. It was something else. And I think as we look at this particular challenge, generating sales, there are multiple things that, in my opinion, play here. And one is, for example, education, right? Education for artists to understand the business aspects of the art career that help us generate sales, right? That is super important, because you may have the most amazing art, but, if you don't have the business know-how on how to get your art to the right people, to the right audience, how to close the sale, how to put your work in the market, it becomes really difficult. Unless somebody does it for you, like an art gallery comes along and does it all for you, well, that's a different story. But I'm talking about here artists who are selling direct from their website, from their social media platforms, and so on. So generating sales continues to be one of those biggest challenges, a lot of times, again, because we lack the education on how to, do things right. Another big problem also in terms of generating sales, many artists do lack the confidence, for example, of doing marketing, right? They lack the confidence of, showing out to the audience, like, what do I say? How do I start an email newsletter? I'm bad at social media. I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm too tall, or too short, whatever, right? We have a million reasons, million excuses of why we may or may not be good at social media or marketing in general, in person and also online, because both are important. It's some marketing campaigns you need to understand, not only online but also offline, right? And networking, and so all those things, which is part of your marketing. So, a lack of that, the result is affects the sales, right? On the other hand, artists who become more savvy on their business activities as artists and spend also adequate time in the marketing of their art, they understand that, yeah, you can spend all day in the studio and that's awesome. However, if you are trying to generate sales for you, it's going to be difficult, right? If you don't also spend time in the marketing, in the business part of it. So dedicating some time so that even though you might need to put some time off from your studio in order to make time for the marketing and the business, it's important if that's kind of what you want, if that's what you're looking for. So generating sales, again, continues to be one of those challenges, and I think it will continue to be for long time, I think, because again, it requires this attention from the artist. Sales don't just happen. Most artists wish that, we just make the art and then people will just come and buy it directly from the website without you having to do anything, that you would just put it online or do a one Facebook post or one Instagram post or TikTok, and then boom, a sale will happen. And sometimes it does, sometimes you get surprised, like, wow, I put something out and somebody's interested in buying it already. It happens, but a lot of times, it's work. It's work that you had to put in order to generate the sales. I always say that sales are the results of doing things right. And I'm going to say it again, sales are the results of doing things right. In other words, you do a number of things correctly in sequence, and oftentimes will produce very good sales for you. One example, something that we do here inside our Next Level at the end of every year, we do the end of the year Art Sales Challenge, which is right now, we're going through that right now. We're on week number 4 of the challenge at the time of me recording this episode. And it's great because we're working with hundreds of artists from around the world who we all have said, you know what, this year I want to do something good. I want to pay attention to my sales. I'm going to pay attention and prepare for the time of the year in which a lot of people are buying. And it's a great opportunity. So there's a wave of attention right now into making purchases for people make purchases for themselves or for their friends, significant others. So it's a great opportunity right now to jump in that wave and participate and think about as an artist how you can do it, right? So we're in the middle of that of this end of the year Art Sales Challenge. So artists who are taking the challenge, they realize, well, I know generating sales is difficult, right? So I want to do something about it. And they did. We are all doing something about it and preparing for it. So that's part of, I think, one of the best ways in which we can address this as artists is to look for help, look for resources, look for programs like the Next Level, for example, where we do these challenges so that we can all work together towards one mission, towards one solution, right? In which everybody will make it work in their own way, from whatever they are in the world, whatever type of art they have, etc., right? But it's all of us working and brainstorming on how we can address these issues. So that's the first one, a very common challenge, generating sales. Maybe if you are listening to this podcast, maybe this one is one of the ones you have right now, right? And my suggestion, my friend, is take steps in 2024 to address that challenge. If that's a challenge that you have, don't let another year go by to be able to say, again, this year it was my number one challenge. And that's the same you said last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. What are you going to do about it? What are things are you willing to change in order to have a different outcome? What are the things you need to do? And of course, I suggest keep listening to the podcast, to the Next Level podcast, because we have always, really great advice, information that can help you in this area and many more as well. Or program the Next Level, where we educate artists, help them artists with our community, to have the tools necessary to address this particular issue. But do something about it, right? My main goal is to tell you, do something about it. All right, another one, which is very close to this one, which was another one of the top 5 biggest challenges artists have, is marketing. Marketing is another huge one. It's another big one. A lot of artists said, I everything marketing makes me cringe. Anything that sounds, I have to do more marketing, makes me uncomfortable, or I'm not good at it. And again, recognize, and it's good. Thank you guys who responded, and those of you who identify that as your biggest challenge. If you are identifying it, because it's true. It is true, right? Marketing is not easy. It's difficult. It takes time. It doesn't happen by itself, and therefore it becomes a challenge for many artists, particularly if you don't have training or have experience on it. I was fortunate enough that when I came into, my art career, I had already worked, as a graphic designer, and then I also work in marketing through an agency. So I already had some really good foundation that I was able to apply to my art career, when I started, really making art seriously. And, that is something that unfortunately a lot of artists don't have. So, how do we address that challenge? How do we find the solution for this one? Well, for this one is basically two things that you need to address this challenge. If marketing is your biggest challenge, 2 things: education and time, right? You need to educate yourself on how you can do it better without having to waste so much time. and then of course investing the time required to market your art. There's no other way around it. Nobody's gonna come and knock on your door and say, hey, I want to market your art, so you can just continue be making it in the studio. You don't have to worry about it. Well, it doesn't happen like that, right? You actually have to spend the time learning what's working right now. Very important, because you can learn that something that's not working anymore. It was working 5 years ago and the world has changed, right? So you always have to find the most relevant information that is relevant to this time as well, and then spend the time, right, practicing it. Marketing is practicing. You don't get good at marketing by just reading a book. You get good at marketing by practicing, by making posts, by making reels, by making stories, and some do really well and some don't do really well, some do really bad, and that's okay. You just keep making more and more and more, and you don't cry about the ones that don't do, or if nobody's watching your reels. You keep practicing so you can get better, right? So you can do things better, and that is something that's super important. As one of the biggest challenges that's out there, to address in this way: education and time commitment. And two things that for me are super important, and I have made a commitment myself to help artists with these. And that's why, for example, this year inside our Next Level program, every week I do what's called a weekly marketing calendar. And so every week I recommend 5 posts per week for your Instagram or social media, and I tell you ideas for what to post Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way to Friday, 5 days per week. And I look for 3 trending sounds or templates that you can use, to quickly create, great Instagram reels. So you don't have to overthink it. So you don't have to spend 3 hours looking for the best sound or the best template, because I do that work for you on a weekly basis. And I don't do them ahead of time. I do them week by week, so that they're fresh, so that it's exactly what's working at that particular moment, and it's work. So artists who are inside of our community, they have access to that marketing calendar on a weekly basis. So check it out. If that's something that you are interested, just go to the Artist Next Level and you have access to that. But that is another big challenge, right? Marketing. Let's go to another one, which one that came at like third in terms of importance. We said the first one, sales, then marketing. But a lot of artists also said, it's my biggest challenge in 2023 is time management. I'm not good at managing my time. There are too many commitments, too many distractions. I wish I could just go in the studio and make the art, but I have to also, take care of a part-time job or a full-time job, and I have kids, and I have to do this. I have to do my marketing. I have to do all these other things, and it's just very stressful. It is very difficult. I find myself dropping the ball on things, or really exhausted after the week, because I'm just having a hard time managing all these moving parts that are required to be an artist in the world today. So, that is another very big one for artists, right? And I totally get it, because I've been there myself. This year for me was super incredibly challenging in terms of time management, probably one of my most challenging ones, because we were moving from one city to another, from Chicago to Miami. That's a big move. And not only moving just myself, but the family, the entire family, the business, the Art Next Level, the art gallery that we own, everything. So it was a big mess and big challenge. So I totally get it. Time management is difficult. Time management is a challenge that for many artists that have multiple responsibilities, becomes harder and harder and harder. It seems like everything requires more and more. And for this one, for this challenge, I think, unfortunately, the way the world functions seems like everything is just have gotten faster. And I really do not know how much faster we can really go at this pace. The way people consume content is fast. The way people create content is fast. Everything is just fast and quick, and whoever does it faster. And it's really kind of crazy, right? Think about something as simple as social media. Social media, the way people consume social media has changed in the last 5 years. From people used to sit down and watch somebody live. Now it's everybody wants it quick, fast, under 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Give me everything you need to know in 30 seconds, right? It's just that crazy, and seems like, in the same amount of hours that we had before, we're trying to squeeze more and more and more, and ever more and more and more of everything. So it is one of the biggest challenges, I think, that we all face. I face that challenge myself. And although I've done, as you guys know, if you've been following the Art Next Level podcast for a while, I've done a lot of episodes over the last 8 years, which, by the way, it's that the Art Next Level podcast is 8 years old. So in 8 years, I have done tons of episodes about time management, tools that I'm using, resources. I have invited other guests to talk about time management. And, it's one of those things that you always deal with it. You always are challenged by it. You always are pulled in different directions. You're always kind of like feeling good about it in some seasons, and then kind of feeling all stretched in other seasons, because it's time is continuum. Time is always moving. Time is always changing. Time is always in flux. So we need to adapt to each season. So I think all I want to say for this one is, one way in which you can address this challenge is, of course, to first take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, pause, and realize that in order to work with your time management, you need to be at a state of mind of relaxation. Otherwise, you make quick decisions, you make quick things, and you're falling into the same trap, right? The best way to manage your time is to pause, to put the pause button, and then pull back for a minute, have a wider 360 view of your world, wherever you're at, your situation, your status, everything that makes you, do a 360 view around, and then start making little changes, start making little adjustments on how you spend your morning, how you spend your midday, how you spend your afternoon, how you spend your evening, how you spend your time in the studio, how you spend your time in social media, how you spend your time at work, or whatever other activity you do, how you spend your time with your kids, with your family, with your partner, how do you spend your time with friends, how do you spend your time in your networking activities, how do you spend your time, in recreation, how do you spend your time, or how much time you spend also resting and relaxing and sleeping. It's very important. And I think when you start doing that, making little adjustments, not big ones, because you try to do big adjustments, it's almost guaranteed that you'll fail, right? Because that will become just another thing to manage, right? Now you have to manage the time management, the time management project. So you got to do little adjustments, little things, something as simple as maybe every day in the morning, I'm going to spend just 3 minutes. Start with 3 minutes of just quietness, meditation, relaxation, prayer, something that can help you, walk into the day. Before you open your social media, before you watch the news, before anything, just 3 to 5 minutes of quietness and meditation, or priming your day. That's one little adjustment. That's something that say, I'm gonna do it for the next 2 weeks and see what happens. And then maybe another little adjustment that you would do, for example, when you go social media, say, okay, maybe I'm gonna time myself. I'm gonna give myself just 15 minutes in the morning to check my social media, to make maybe my post and look at a couple other things. But that's it. So you put yourself a little timer. 15 minutes, ring bells, you stop. That's it. You're done. No more. You close the phone and you say, okay, I'm done for the day. Or until the evening, I'll go back and check again. So those are tiny little adjustments. And you just got to do little adjustments here and there. Test them out. See how you feel. Then once that is under control, do another little adjustment here and there, etc. And, those are the things that can help a lot. And these are a lot of things that I talk a lot also inside the Art Next Level program. When artists ask me about time management, just last week I was sharing kind of my routine right now in this in this time of movement for me, and this time where it's really hard to keep a schedule because of the move and everything else. I was sharing with my with my community inside the Next Level program, the things that I'm doing right now to stay on track, to keep the projects going without having to feel like I'm forgetting things. And those things help. You gotta listen from other people, see what other people are doing that can also help you, that also can give you a sense of understanding that in the way other people see the situation or the same challenge, right? I have learned tons from other people about time management, from books, from podcasts, from people I've met, people that I admire, and I learn and I tweak things on my own, little tweaks that have helped me do what I do today. So that's the third one. Let's go to the fourth one. Fourth biggest challenge that artists have. This one also came high, not as high as the other three, but also came. Many artists also express frustration with inspiration, like inspiration blocks, as one artist put it out. I have inspiration blocks, and this is the idea of having struggling in the studio, walking in and not having an idea what to do, where to start, what to do next. Happens very often when an artist experiences some sort of success. Maybe you had a show or a solo exhibition or a big project that you worked so hard for 3 months, 6 months. You did all that work, you accomplished the goal, the show happened, amazing. Next day you go back in the studio and it's like, what do I do now? Where do I start? I have no idea. I put all my effort, all my attention into that. Or for others, it might be just life happens, right? Like maybe circumstances of life that distracted you from the studio for a long time, and I was like, how do I get back? I just can't seem to get on the train back again. Or others who maybe wanting to change what they have done in the past and trying to challenge themselves. They're finding this kind of frustration season of being with blocks when it comes to inspiration, work in the studio. So again, it's a challenge, and many artists reply to my survey and said, that's my biggest challenge right now. I don't know what to do in the studio, or I don't feel inspired, or, I don't feel motivated. So something that could be done for this, and I'm sure you have seen there are tons of books, tons of blogs, tons of podcasts about how to get out of studio blocks as well, and mindset blocks, that often happen in the studio, creative blocks, however you want to call them, these situations where we just cannot focus on the work. And there are many ways of addressing these things, but here's one where I would say what my 2 cents that I want to put on this one, if this is your challenge, is to exercise self-love. Super important. Exercise self-love, which a lot of people don't talk about. Exercise self-love is about, first understanding, being self-aware of the situation. You're self-aware that you're having a hard time in the studio, that work's not coming the way you want it, or that you feel like you don't have focus or lack clarity on what you're doing, or you just, everything that you make you hate or you don't like. So, what you need to do is have that self-awareness to accept that and say, okay, this is the season in which I am right now, right? And also give yourself the love not to punish yourself even more, right? Punish yourself even more. How do you punish yourself? By feeling frustrated because you're wasting time, because you have waste opportunities, because you see others doing better, so you keep punishing yourself every time, that you think about this, because you're going through it. So you continue punishing yourself. And that is something that definitely you want to avoid. If you're an artist kind of going through this right now, do not punish yourself. Practice self-love, and practice of also, self-awareness of just being yourself as an artist, acknowledging what's going on, and, come at the studio with a positive mindset. Don't come to the studio bringing that mindset that, I'm in an artist block, right? I have an artist block. you are prescribing yourself already, what's wrong with you. And then you walk in the studio already prescribed with this label in your t-shirt that says, hello, I'm an artist block, right? I'm an artist on a block. No, you're an artist on a mission. Change the label, swap the label, erase that label, put a new one on your shirt, on your apron, on top of your studio, on somewhere that you can see that says, I'm an artist on a mission. And then just every day, just think about that. You're an artist on a mission and make something. And maybe good, maybe not good, but you are an artist on a mission, right? And artists on a mission are unstoppable. Artists on a mission, keep working. And the process of keeping working, and not labeling yourself, punishing yourself, practicing self-love will eventually lead you to the inspiration, to the open door, to the success, to the thing that's waiting on the other side. But we got to start with, removing that self-label and putting another one, a more compassionate label that says, I'm an artist on a mission. And my friend, I believe, if you're going through this right now, that you're an artist on a mission. You are an artist on a mission. And that's all you need to know. That's all you need to remember. When you start making the art, you are being on mission. That's it. You're being on mission. Even if you have no idea what in the world you're doing in the studio right now, but because you are messing around with things and you're in the studio, you are there where you're supposed to be, you're practicing your mission. And that's super important, super special. So that's my big advice for you, my friend, as well. And this is something that we talk a lot about inside the Art Next Level. We have really great, a great community there that helps artists. We help each other with this. We have Q&A sessions where, we can give this type of advice. We have also our good friend Drew does these really awesome sessions that are called All Day Breakfast, where for an hour or two, he's there chatting with artists and about whatever is in their mind. Sometimes how to get out of artist blocks, right? And you gotta be in those conversations. You gotta be part of other people talking about strategies and ways, and you always feel inspired when you go to a group and there are other 5, 6, 10, 20 other people talking about art, talking about creativity, talking about ideas, that you get out of there and like you're inspired, right? You're a different person, you're a different artist. So we all need that. And the last one, my friend, to end my list of the top 5 challenges artists face in 2023, according to the results of the survey, is that this one, which many artists also share that they have this challenge. Not all of them, of course, but many address them, is the finding my voice. The idea of finding my own voice, finding my unique voice, finding, kind of my language as an artist, finding my style. What others may have talk about it in terms of, finding my style, or have too many styles, or can I make up my mind? That kind of thing. Finding what's truly me, finding my unique voice, that people can recognize my work. That's my biggest challenge. So, this was shared by many artists. Maybe, this is something that you may be feeling as well, or maybe not. Maybe this is one area that you have control and it's great for you. But for many artists, this continues to be a challenge. And yeah, it has been a challenge. And I think particularly what makes this one more difficult is that you go into social media and in seconds you see so many artists who have a very unique style, or who are, you see their work and you can recognize it right away, and you're like, why I don't have that? Why I cannot do the same? Why cannot build an audience like that person? And why people don't remember my art or my work? So it becomes really frustrating, when you are looking at the world in that sense and you're comparing yourself to others. So my first word of advice is do not compare yourself to others. If you're looking for your voice, do not compare yourself to others. Only compare yourself to your previous self, right? If you're making progress, if today in 2023 you feel that you're closer than you were in 2022, then that's awesome. That is great. That means you are on track. You are on the way. Nobody finds their voice, from day 1 to day 2. It takes time. It takes time. It takes the process of working. The only way you can find your voice is not by thinking about it, is by actually going in the studio and making. And sometimes, you're making something and you don't even know why you're making it. And all of a sudden, boom, you discover something, a way in which you apply the material, a way in which you come up with a concept, a way in which you figured out a solution for the artwork that you're trying to create, a mark making that starts to become your almost signature, your voice, right? The only way you find that is by working and working and working and working. And the more you work, the closer you will get. If you're having this problem right now, my friend, you may very well be one painting away, or one photograph away, or one sculpture away, one artwork away from discovering one thing that's going to help you get there faster, right? And for some people, it's like that. It's like they discovered one idea, one method that, boom, all of a sudden changes everything. And for other artists, it's a slow progression. It's like one little shift here, one little change there, one little thing here, one little thing there, and eventually they get there. But the only way to get there is time. It's time. You have to give yourself some time. Give yourself self-love so that you can, also find your voice in the process of making, creating, and be part of this journey. So, my friend, these were the five biggest challenges artists face: generating sales, marketing, time management, inspiration blocks, and finding my voice, right? These are the top 5. And believe it or not, these are the same 5 that are still at the top compared to about 5 years ago when we did exactly the same survey. These things haven't changed. These things are exactly the same. They just talk about in different ways, express in different ways, over time, but they're the same. These are the things that as artists we have been struggling with for so many years, and we continue struggling with today. And I invite you, my friend, to whichever is the one that fits you, to do something about it. The worst thing you can do is like say, hey, Sergio, this is a great episode. Yeah, I can, see myself in the challenge, where maybe marketing or inspiration or sales, whatever, is the one that is my biggest challenge. Well, thank you for the episode. We'll see you until next week. And that's it. And you don't do any changes. You don't look for help. You don't take the next step. So I guarantee you that coming 2024, if I were to do exactly the same episode, you will have exactly the same answer, because you haven't changed a thing, right? If you really want to change in your life, in your career, if you want to experience change, if you want to experience different results, you got to be willing to take the steps to get better. So I invite you, my friend, to get better. Look for help, look for resources. Here inside our next level, we have plenty. We're going to keep making more based on this list. You expect to hear more from us, more blogs, more podcast episodes, more social media content addressing each one of these 5 things to help you out. And of course, if you want to work with us in a more personal way, we have a great community with artists from around the world who are there waiting for you inside our next level. Just go to theartnextlevel.com, sign up, try it for a month, see if this is for you, and I know that you're gonna have a great time connecting with so many artists and seeing your art career flourish in far new ways, particularly as we start 2024. So hope you enjoyed this episode, my friend. Whatever challenges you have, make a change. Make a change. One little step. Think about what is one little step that I can change today. And with this, my friends, I leave you. You're an artist on a mission. And, well, like I always say, I'll see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.